Published 6:26 Eastern Standard Time, the 27th of January 2018. Updated 6:42 Eastern Standard Time, the 27th of January 2018. An emotional Caroline Wozniacki is finally a Grand Slam champion and world number one again after edging Simona Halep out of an epic Australian Open final. There was ecstasy for the 27-year-old Dane and only bitter disappointment for Simona Halep after she finally wrapped up a 7-6-3, 6-6-4 victory that took 2 hours and 49 minutes to win what was her third Grand Slam final. Wozniacki collapsed to the floor in tears after Halep hit a backhand into the net to be broken for the fifth time. She will return to the world number one position exactly 6 years after giving it up, the longest gap in reclaiming the position in WTA history. Caroline Wozniacki is the new champion of the Australian Open after coming through an epic encounter versus Simona Halep. The number 2 seed becomes the first Danish tennis player to win a Grand Slam tournament. With her Australian Open win, Halep appeared to be in discomfort throughout the final, but still came within one break of serve from winning the title. Halep not only loses that status, but is left waiting for a first major, having looked on the verge of cramp at several points in a grueling encounter. Wozniacki turned the deciding set around after taking a medical timeout at 3-4 in the third set, breaking twice thereafter to claim the £2.3 million check for the victor. The players ran each other to a standstill in one of the best women's finals at a big tournament in recent years. There could hardly have been more riding on this final, given the ranking situation, prize money and both players' desperation to leave the club of being a world number one never to have won a Grand Slam. On a steaming hot night in Melbourne, they took to the court and Wozniacki was the more positive from the start, forcing 2 breakpoints at 1-0. She netted a forehand on the first but forced a ground stroke error on the second and held to go 3-0 up. Broadly speaking, she was being rewarded for the adventurous tactic of hitting down the line and stretching the equally athletic Halep. Wozniacki and Halep pose with the elected coin tosser at the net ahead of the Australian Open women's singles final. Wozniacki got off to a great start in the first set as she sealed the first break of the match to take an early lead over Halep. Halep initially struggled to find her rhythm and allowed Wozniacki an early advantage in the first set of the match. The tournament's number 2 seed Wozniacki celebrates after sealing the first set in a closely contested tiebreak in Melbourne. Unfortunately for the Dane, she blinked when serving for it at 5-3, complaining about some crowd noise and becoming a little more passive to be broken back in the tiebreak. However, she assumed the more positive mindset once again and forged ahead from the start, taking it 7-2 with some ease, again being prepared to it down the line. Wozniacki could have made a decisive move when she missed 4 breakpoints at 1-1 in the second. Her backhand was still in fine working order, but her forehand was faltering, as it sometimes can. The next 2 games went with serve, and then Halep called on the doctor to have her blood pressure checked amid the muggy conditions, far more humid when it got really hot at the end of the first week. Wozniacki deals with the humid conditions with a towel filled with ice during a break between games at Melbourne Park. Halep of Romania takes a medical timeout between games in her women's with a physio taking her blood pressure. The Romanian appeared to be struggling with discomfort in her stomach, but still managed to win the second set. Halep walks off the court as the heat rule comes into effect to give both players a 10-minute break following the second set. Neither player was looking particularly fresh, unsurprisingly, but Halep, who appeared to be suffering the onset of cramp, was the one who moved ahead when she fired a forehand into the corner on breakpoint to go 5-3 up. By the end of the second set, Wozniacki had missed 8 out of 9 breakpoints and could consider that during the 10-minute break activated under the heat rules. However, she put that right when hitting a rasping forehand to seal the break for 2-0 in the decider. That work was undone when she was broken in a marathon third game that left it 2-1 after 34 minutes. But Halep handed the advantage back when netting a backhand to be broken in the next game. Having serve broken was becoming the norm, and after falling behind 3-4, Wozniacki called the trainer on to have strapping administered to her left knee. The Romanian was left to stew and was duly broken, with Wozniacki then clinging on to her serve to move to 5-4. She broke again to 32 edge the match, taking 110 points to 108. It was that close. Wozniacki of Denmark required her own medical timeout after going a breakdown in the third and final set of the match. Halep continued to struggle with discomfort but still managed to stay competitive in the third and final set of the match. The last touches of sunlight can be seen on the horizon as the players continue in front of a packed arena in Melbourne.